Welcome back to the Bonzaar podcast. This is part 3 of the Underland Volunteers Call-Out episode. We're going to hear from the Artery team, Centre Camp team, and the 2 build teams, the Effigy build team and the Temple build team. I hope you enjoy it. Up next is the Artery team. Danae, welcome to the podcast. As Stephen would say, a big Bonzaar welcome. How you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Can you, for our beautiful audience, introduce yourself and tell us what you do at Underland?
Yeah, absolutely. So for Underland, I'm currently the Artery lead. And what that essentially means is I coordinate people who are interested in bringing art type things to the event. And at the moment, I'm also, under my little portfolio, I'm also helping to manage and run Ignition grants. So it's also the non-art sort of funding stream for those kinds of events, gatherings, other kinds of happenings that people want to organise at the event. So yeah, I'm kind of managing art and non-art things that happen at the event at the moment.
That's right. I'd forgotten about those. I forgot we have a bit of funding allocated for that as well. Let's come back to those because I think folks will be interested to hear about those. Can I hear about more about you first? How did you get involved in these, hanging out with these crazy people and doing this funny stuff? What's your origin story, if you like? How did it all begin?
How did it all begin? I guess I was herded over to Burning Seed by some friends, and I got involved with the Artery there pretty much straight away. I knew that was kind of my home and where I wanted to be, and I brought art to my very first burn, very ambitious, and pretty much have always brought an art piece to every burn I've attended. It's always been one of my little areas that I just love participating and gifting to the event, and then got very much involved in the Artery over there. So when the board, I guess, was starting to look around and have conversations with people in Victoria about forming this thing, their own little burn, my name made it onto the list, fortunately. And I had some chats with Marty and managed to weasel my way into the Artery
so
here.
You were sort of pegged as the art person from the get-go for Underland. Do I have that right?
I was definitely mentioned as someone who was very keen to support and be a part of the Artery. Kavala, she started off with our very first burn sort of managing it, but she found other priorities, family life, needed to take over. So I managed to step up and take over the role for the moment. So absolutely loving it, loving the opportunity, I guess, to inspire and motivate and make connections amongst the sort of artistic community here at Underland.
And that is one of the big issues, isn't it? How much time people, because it's all gifting, it's all volunteer labour. There's no paid positions, so it's how much time do people have to volunteer at the event year round, and how many different hats can they wear in an event that's just sort of small and growing. It's an interesting issue to look at and think about. So okay, well let's talk about all things art and Artery. So the Artery, if I remember correctly, it's sort of co-located with Centre Camp these days, isn't it? The Artery and Centre Camp are kind of one?
Yeah, that's sort of how we've kind of managed to share our resources. Again, like you mentioned, we are very small, so we certainly have to think about how each of our departments can kind of, share resources. And last year's event turned out to be a really good collab between the Centre Camp space and the Artery space, and making sure that space was always kind of engaged with certain activities, whether the Centre Camp had it as an open space for people to take their own thing, or they were running activities, and then Artery was also running activities or being a hub space for people to come and see. And we had a little comfy corner with our documentation project running in the corner. So that was a really nice working together effort to activate that space.
Yeah, it was a nice space, wasn't it? It was cozy. There's kind of like a little focal point where people could sort of dribble to at quite a, like at most hours of the day and just sort of, see what's going on there kind of thing.
And it really was, that was a big push in previous years, I suppose. Yeah, the centre camp hadn't really had a champion, somebody to sort of take it over. So, with the coming on Beck really taking ownership of that space and making sure that it did have that, it was actually central to the event. And it did. It provided that lovely, like neutral zone amongst all the theme camps and everybody's spaces. Here was this nobody's in particular space, but it's everybody's space. And, I think that's what made it really nice.
That's right. I saw people coming in and just using it almost like a little pop-up space and doing their own thing. They're like little workshops and little art things and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was even, activations that people had applied for grants through the Ignition grants to run. And they were like, they'd say to me, be like, where can I run it? And it'd be like, Centre camp. Let's put it there.
Okay, cool. Well, we do have Beck scheduled to come on the podcast as well to specifically talk about centre camp stuff.
Fabulous. Yes.
On the Artery, who are you looking for? What sort of volunteers do you need throughout the event, and perhaps before and after the event as well, to help get the Artery running nicely?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we are a small event, I guess there isn't a lot of heavy lifting to do pre-event. Myself and Jenny Red are currently sort of, she's like my 2IC, I guess, and we're kind of managing the out-of-year things that we need to do. Although we're always keen to have more diversity or more people involved in like the grants process.
Yes.
So that's really that process where we meet and we decide what are the criteria for artists to receive grants. We then receive all the applications. We go through a process of judging, I guess, based on our criteria. And at the moment it's kind of the two of us, and it's certainly, I think the grants are funded by the community. That's 10% of the ticket sales are going towards the grants. So I certainly would love to see some more people reaching out and wanting to be involved perhaps in that process, to make that selection process a little bit more diverse. So I would certainly appreciate if anyone had some time to be a part of that process, where we decide it's very, very small commitment. You're looking at probably an hour long discussion, usually on a weekend or sometime when we're all mutually available. I've gone about sort of creating a system that does make it quite easy, a lovely Excel spreadsheet, so that we can all go through the criteria and make sure that all our decisions are very justified for why we've allocated the money to those certain artists. So there's that aspect. So that's the year-round aspect. There is, I suppose, another non-grant related year-round aspect, which is really just supporting and reaching out to people who have expressed interest in bringing, building, making, doing art, and kind of being a person with ears in the community that can connect people and listen out for those opportunities and be like a sounding board or kind of a middleman, someone who, like someone in another department, for instance, will just be like, oh, somebody mentioned to me, this person, they're interested in doing this. And then I get to be kind of the conduit who kind of helps to go, oh, I know somebody who you should talk to, or, oh, yep, I know somebody who's got some skills that maybe you'd find helpful for your art project. So, it's another good point of reference that the Artery can kind of be to kind of guide and direct people to all the other people in the community they may not know about, who have skills, who have abilities, who have passion or desire or time, time's one of the big ones, to help and dedicate towards other people's projects.
Yeah, I can see how that's an important one, because art activity doesn't just happen in the months leading up to the event. Some people are building, some people will probably have stuff in their minds now for 2026 that they're sort of going, oh, how can I make that happen? So it's a year-round activity for some people.
Yeah, and especially for some of those ongoing art projects as well, which is really lovely to see, sort of projects that perhaps are coming back time and time again, but they're reimagining, reversioning, reiterating. And so, people really investing, because we know resources challenging. Money, all the usual things that are involved in building a piece of art. But if you can kind of reinvent what stuff you already have to work with, then certainly, you're ticking a lot of sustainability things, which of course we all love to hear about as well.
That's right. Stuff can come back. We don't necessarily need to burn stuff. There is art that can come back.
Yeah. Like we've got one at Underland that's been there since we started at our new site in Paradise, the Bird's Nest. And
yes, that's a fun one.
That's been there.
It's
been there 3 times now in its different incarnations. And very generously, the landowner has allowed the main stability poles of that project to remain on site year round. And then Dan comes back and checks that it's all still good, makes some adjustments, and then puts up his next version of what that space will be like. So that's really lovely to see.
I've only seen that one late at night. For some reason, I seem to crawl up there or crawl around it or see who's in there at about 2 a.m. in the morning.
I didn't get to last year, I went to make the pilgrimage, but somebody was sleeping in it and I was just like, I won't disturb them. But
I think at night it's one of those things where you need a certain critical number of people to make it warm enough. That's the pro tip. It's like, okay, we're going to go snuggle in there, but it's got to be party of 5 minimum.
At least,
depending on how cold you run. So, okay, that's good. I didn't know that one came back time and time again, but that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think perhaps just to tangent a bit, because we've got time to. I think for, we're talking about volunteering here, but for artists, I think one of the positive things to mention is that there is really good support. If you're a first-time artist and you're applying for a grant, you're not quite sure what to do, and you're a bit hesitant about what you can make and what resources and advice is available to you in the community, it's there. The support is there. Mentors are there, and someone to help you walk through that process. That's all there, which I think is great. Yeah, no, I think definitely one of the roles that I've taken on, and it's certainly whoever steps into the Artery role definitely gets to make it their own, right? Whoever will come after me will, take on board what I've developed and built and, things like that, but then they can choose what kind of areas and things that they choose to focus on. One of the things that was important to me, and certainly that I've tried to focus on and that I think was really quite successful last year and through last year's iteration, was the mentorship focus that I tried to put out there, and about connecting people and, like getting top and going like, hey, you've got a dome sound bath project and you've got a dome soundscape project and you've got a dome thing. Hey, guys, I think you should all kind of talk together and start, like maybe collabing or, hey, you've got a really cool project sort of going on, but it sounds like you're missing sort of an engineering sort of perspective. I'd like to tee you up with, one of our build guys from site who, is well versed in this, just to have a little bit of a chat. That was really important to me, that artists and people who want to bring stuff to the event know that they don't have to do it alone, that there is a wealth of knowledge and skills within, even though our community is small, we've got some very highly skilled people and talented people in there that really can, offer some of those pearls of wisdom to help alleviate some of your concerns, worries, sticking points in your project, sort of design and delivery. Yeah. No, a great way for people to jump in and get started and have a bit of hand holding along the way, I think, a bit of support. Yeah.
And then I suppose, going back onto the volunteer train, I sort of outlined the year-round kind of things, so if anyone's interested in that side, but then there's on the ground.
Yes.
At the event, and this is probably where this year I would particularly find it valuable to have some hands on the event site, helping out with the Artery. So Jenny's going to be doing, sort of lead, I guess, for the event. I won't be able to attend this year's event. It's going to be new for me. I'm going to have to hand over the reins and just, be happy with all my pre-prep work. But we'd really love some extra pairs of hands. No skills necessarily required. Don't even have to be that passionate about art, I guess.
Okay.
It
Okay,
helps.
it might help.
It's
Yep.
nice.
Yep.
It's nice to be, but yeah, somebody who's looking for a pretty light on volunteer role on event. We're looking at setting up our little artery space. There's the potential to maybe run a arty type workshop.
Yeah,
which
cool.
I'm happy to guide you through. I've already got all the materials and the instructions and things like that there. Or you can come up with your own, depending on what level of involvement you'd like. If you can come pre-event, there's a little bit of work where we go around the event site and we tag and flag all the spaces where we want the art to be.
Yes.
So when the artists arrive, that we can place them and they feel comfortable and know where they're going to be. And a lot of that work I will be doing pre-event. But we need someone on the site a couple of days prior to maybe help out with that.
Yep.
And otherwise, it's usually just a day afterwards, again, packing down our little space, making sure we're all MOOP approved, especially our art spaces. So I usually do a lap of the site, go and check all the places where the art was placed, make sure that there's any MOOP, take notes of anything, because our art grants do have a proviso, and that if an art space, an artist's area does not sort of pass the MOOP check, then they don't receive the final disbursement of their grant, kind of thing. So it's a very, very important step to making sure that, everyone's adhering to the MOOP-free policies that our event wants to adhere to.
Okay, so for those who are planning a glitter bomb art piece,
maybe
not for
if you want to sacrifice that 20%, sure, and piss off a whole lot of people who have to clean it up, sure.
The LNT team won't be your friends after that one. The tweezers will be
they will be
out.
very unhappy, and it also will affect your sort of, I guess, your ability to apply for grants in the future. We will know your artist and your team and things. So
you don't want to be known as the glitter guy. That's for sure. Okay, so you need someone ideally a couple of days before, one day after. There's a bit of placement activities, some workshop activities potentially, and I guess this doesn't need to just be one person. This could be split up over a couple of different volunteers. Yeah,
absolutely. Hopefully, if we get enough sort of interest and someone's got availability just to do the pre-event, someone's got availability just to do the event and just do the post, and Jenny will be there with you the whole time, so you're sort of not doing it on your own. You'll be tracking around in a pair probably, and it's very light on, and you get to enjoy a lot of the event. Go around, take lots of photos of the art is always a fun one. If we've got any photographers out there, we'd always love to connect with you too and get some beautiful photos of all our artworks out there.
This sounds like a good role for someone who, could this even be a role for someone who's, it's their first time at an event like this and wants to kind of, get involved and have an excuse to do things and see things? And
it actually would prompt. It would prompt you to get around and make sure you see everything and do anything, especially if you're sort of, part of the art tour that we usually like to run, which goes around to some of our artworks, picks a path and navigates some people through that. And, the photography aspect, if you wanted to be our sort of art photographer. It would definitely inspire you to make sure you're getting around and seeing the different facets of those artworks and of those activities, part of the Ignition grants that are running as well around the event.
Okay, so for people who haven't been before and are maybe a bit hesitant, then this one might be a good one for you.
Absolutely.
I think it's always my personal view is that you always get a lot more out of the event by doing a bit of behind the scenes volunteering work.
It's kind of like a mission, isn't it? It's like you've been given your own little mission.
And you sort of get to see a little bit, under the hood, how do things really work? What makes it work well? It's I think it's a lot of fun. Okay.
And you definitely get to meet a lot of people, I suppose, through the Artery as well. You get to connect not only with the artists, but, you're going to be talking with and connecting with spam crew because you might be needing to, do some help working out some equipment for somebody, to do some trenching for their artwork or other sorts of equipment that we might need. Yeah, you pretty much get to know everyone on site when you're in the Artery team because they all kind of flow through or you require something from them. make a mission down to the gate to make sure that the giant steel sculpture fish makes it through.
Yep. Yeah, the more I think about it, this is a really good one, because you do get to talk with all the different people on all the teams, and if you do want to jump off and do something different, this can be a good way to sort of have a little bit of a spy on what all the different teams do, and then sort of go, okay,
and get a little bit of a lowdown.
Yeah, it's a little less kind of monolithic than some of the other teams. So okay, very cool. Any last messages that you'd like to shout out to potential volunteers or just people who are looking to come this year? It's a shame that you won't be there, but we'll be trying to hold the fort together without you.
I guess, contact at Artery at Common Arts. And basically, and on the Slack as well is another way to grab me, Danae.
Yep.
And we also have our own channel on the Slack, All Things Artery. And but keep an eye out on the CAV newsletter and on the socials, because that's where we do most of our posting. Particularly small art grants are open right now. Ignition grants are open right now.
That's right, we didn't talk about that. Okay, so art grants are somewhat explanatory. There's small art grants, big art grants. They're kind of as they read. But I think ignition grants are a little bit perhaps unique to this event. Can we just say a few words on those?
Yeah, absolutely. So our ignition grants were really born of a desire to support particularly community engagement. We certainly love our theme camps and what they do and they offer and things, but we identified that people might want to do and create, I guess, activities, events, things like that theme camps do, but they're not part of a theme camp. So we identified that there was a gap there in being able to offer people support to run and do these engagements whilst not being part of a theme camp. So we've created this stream of funding. You can get grants up to $500. And essentially, we just want to know about how is it, building community. The real focus is how does your proposal idea, and, it's not necessarily just a happening or an event. It could almost be something that actually I use always the example I use, an innovative way to transport water around site or bring power generation to site. So, it's just unique experiences or services or ideas. We want to leave it quite open to interpretation, exactly what kind of thing you could come up with that we could possibly support financially wise.
That's a really good one, because I kind of had it in my mind that it was, if you wanted to do a workshop, you get some money for materials or whatever, then you go use Centre Camp. But it's quite broad. It sounds like that if someone's got something in their mind where they're thinking, I'd really like to do that this year because I think this could work better, and it's sort of a bit broader than just your immediate crew. If it can help the community as a whole, then it sounds like that might be something that you could put your hand up for a grant.
Absolutely, No, we definitely want to make sure that everyone has that opportunity, I guess, to engage in their medium. Not necessarily everybody wants to run a workshop or build a piece of art, but they still want to contribute in some meaningful way from them. I guess
that's what their gift is. Whatever the thing that they do.
You've got that certain brain that thinks in that certain way, and you're going like, I really want to do this, but it's a bit left field. Then we want to hear about it and support that.
This sounds like a really good one. I'm glad we remembered to talk about this.
Cool. Squeeze it in in a little bit of time.
Pop it in there. It's a little bit more than just the volunteers chat. That's all good. We're flexible here on the podcast.
Nice.
Okay. Have we forgotten anything, Danae? Or I think that's about it.
I think I've done the contact details. We've done what we do. And looking forward to hopefully hearing from some people. How many people you got listening to this?
We don't know yet. I'm hoping.
Oh, okay.
It's early days. I'm hoping that it works as an effective volunteers call out, and I'm hoping that if it works well, we can get other organisations to produce their own little episode, and in the lead up to their event, we'll put it on the air as well. as their
Lovely.
way of doing a call out, just another way of spreading the word around. So fingers crossed.
Brilliant.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We'll get a couple of people.
We'll put a note in the comms.
Yeah, that's it. Volunteers, if you do decide to sign up, tell them the podcast sent you along.
Yeah.
So, tell them we sent you. Okay, Danae, thanks a lot for coming on the podcast today.
That was lovely chatting with you.
Okay, catch you later.
Bye.
Coming up next, Centre Camp team. Beck, welcome to the Bonzaar podcast.
Hey, PY. Thanks for having me.
Beck, for our listeners, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do at Underland?
Yeah, sure. I'm the Centre Camp lead at Underland. I'm also on the committee for Common Arts Victoria, and I do a little bit of stuff with their community engagement back here in Melbourne year round.
Okay, multiple hats, as are a lot of people. First, before we talk about Centre Camp, can you tell us a little bit about you? I always like getting people's backstories. How did you get started in this little, seeing this little group of people, and how long have you been doing it for?
Yeah, cool. I started going to Burns in 2017. I'd been lurking in the background a bit before that, but I really started my burner journey in 2017. I went to a regional burn in the US called Scorched Nuts, which is a tri-state burn, which is basically home to Ohio, burners, Indiana, and Tennessee. So really interesting part of the world, and really interesting small little burn, really cute. Then I went to Modifier, then I went to the Big Burn, then I went to, the rest is history, really. It all just flows on from there. So Blazing Swan, Burning Seed, Underland, it just flows on from there. So I've been doing this for a couple of years here in Melbourne since 2020. Been involved with the Common Arts Victoria crew. So yeah, that's me.
Once you start, you just get sucked in.
Well, it's fun.
That's right.
Fun begets fun.
That's right. Wouldn't be doing it for any other reason. Okay, let's talk Centre Camp. What is Centre Camp all about at Underland?
Yeah, so Centre Camp is the heart of the burn. It's a accessible, inclusive space where anyone is welcome. It's not a theme camp. It's really important to differentiate it from all the other camps at Underland. It is a space that is provided by the organisation, so it's funded by the by ticket sales, effectively. We have a large stretch tent. We've got carpet. We've got really yummy cushions, lots of them, like a cushion palace. We've got some sound and some basic lighting. So it's basically a self-contained, sheltered space with all the basics that you would need. We are not a doof space. It's more of a workshop space. And yeah, it's really chill. If you've ever been to some of the big festivals, it's a little bit like the dry tent vibes. So it's really laid back. It's a place where you can have a cup of, conversation. You can meet your friends there. If you want to do a workshop or a performance, you can. And it's open from 10 a.m. till midnight throughout the burn.
That's right. I was gonna ask if it was open 24 hours, but no. Okay, 10 till midnight.
Well,
yeah.
Technically, anyone can go in there at any time. The space is open. We don't have a locked door policy or anything like that. But in terms of the workshops and the performances and things that happen in there, they're between 10 a.m. and midnight. So that's when you can expect to see something. But you can hang in there in the middle of the night if you want.
I remember it. Yes, very handy if it's raining. I remember it being a very cozy kind of vibe in there, which was lovely.
Yeah, thanks. That's what we're trying for. Just a welcoming space. Not everybody comes to these events with big infrastructure. Not everybody has a gazebo or somewhere to hang out. So it's a really good opportunity for people who, are coming with the bare basics. You can hang out there.
Okay, so a shared space where you can do stuff and hang out.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a uni share house lounge room. If you had an experience of that, so yeah, that kind of vibe.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Workshops. I've seen a couple of interesting things actually there in the past. I've seen workshop on skydiving and something on making a basic kind of rope harness to dress someone up in. I've seen a couple of interesting things. Will there be more of the same this year?
Yeah, it's definitely open to anybody who wants to do anything that they're passionate about. So it could be anything from a improvised dance piece. It could be something quite structured, like a lecture. It could be a jewelry making workshop. It could be some kind of spiritual thing. It could be yoga. It could be whatever you want. We've got the basic sound system there with a mixer. So if you wanted to do a jam, you could do that. If you wanted to thrash out some 90s classics, you're very welcome to. We just don't advertise it as a DJ space. So DJs are probably not suited for the centre camp space. There are plenty of other spaces around Underland where you can go and play your set. But at Underland, we have 2-hour workshop slots, so anyone can do anything that they want within the 2 hours. And as I said, that would be scheduled between 10 a.m. And would need to finish by midnight. And sometimes we have multiple events happening at the same time. So if you're doing something small with a small group, there might be another couple of workshops that could happen concurrently. So it's a big enough space to have several groups in there if needed. We have a chalkboard with all the schedule of workshops and activities updated every day. If you wanted to register to hold a workshop, you just fill in the online form, which is available on the underland.au. Is it AU? Anyway, it's an Underland website.
It's AU.
Thank you. And you just pop in your expression of interest. You let us know what you're planning to do. It's really important that you consider the MOOPI, leave no trace aspects of your thing. We don't like there to be any trash left behind. If you bring it, you need to take it with you. So just keep in mind the environmental impact of your event, your workshop, whatever. But you could do whatever you want. It's really an opportunity for people who, as I said, don't have a lot of infrastructure or don't have a connection to a big theme camp and want to do something. You can come along and do your thing, and then you can promote it. It'll be on the in the program. It's a great way to meet people. It's also a really fun thing to do if you're a participant. You can learn all sorts of things. So
it's fun just to look at what's on the chalkboard that day. Because not everyone's going to look at the guide, and sometimes it's not good to plan things too much. It's nice just to be able to look at the chalkboard and go, oh yeah, that's on a midday. I'll check that out.
Exactly. It's something I don't like looking at my phone either while I'm at the event. So it's nice to have the chalkboard as the destination point with your cup of tea in the morning, swing past, see what's happening, see if there's anything. We also we do have breakfast radio there, which is like a 9 a.m. till 10 a.m. So technically before it opens, it's an opportunity for hosts such as myself and whoever else I can wrangle just to talk about what's coming up at Underland that day. And we have a chat to participants as they're walking home from their big night out or people going about their day. We wrangle people in and have a bit of a chat. And that's also where we provide updates about key things like ice delivery, what the weather's doing, if there's any big thing happening that day that we might want to share with people or remind them about things. That's another good point. So ice is sold usually out the front of Centre Camp. And we have a burn barrel as well. So it is a bit of a destination to swing past.
I guess we should point out that Centre Camp is located pretty centrally. The whole point. So it's kind of on the sort of the how would you describe it, boulevardy, esplanade type area, and it's pretty close to other sources of main infrastructure like first aid and rangers and that kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's part of the Centre Camp village, and there's a bit of a village vibe.
Is the Artery going to be co-located with Centre Camp this year? Is that the plan?
That is the plan. I'm not exactly sure of how it will work because Danae and Terry won't be there this year, but that is the plan until it's not. It makes sense for it to be in there. So
so arts, chill out, workshops, all under the one roof, literally.
That's right. Yeah, and lots of cushions to hang out on if you want as well.
I enjoyed the chai last year. I understand that was an Artery thing. But when I discovered there was that kind of midnight chai on, I helped myself to a lot of that.
That's good to hear. Yeah, that was an Artery initiative. We might do it this year. We definitely have the urn. It's just about getting all the ducks lined up for that.
I can volunteer to turn the urn on. I know how to do that much at least.
Well, there's the whole brewing process as well, right? Like it's not just chuck a tea bag in a cup.
Got to be careful what you volunteer for. Speaking
that's
of which,
right. Yeah.
Okay. Volunteers. Who do you need? What would they be required to do to be part of the centre camp?
Yeah, so the centre camp crew do a range of things, which is pretty easy. Basically, you hang out in the space and talk to either participants or to workshop hosts to make sure they've got everything that they need. It's helpful if the volunteers know a little bit about where things are in Underland. So if someone comes through and asks, where's the first aid, they should be able to point them to first aid, which is pretty much next door. So answering basic questions. We have lost and found at centre camp as well. It's basically a box. Anything that gets found gets put in the box, and then people can come to the box and find it themselves. So that lives at centre camp. Basically, they're keeping the space pretty tidy, just putting things back where they belong, making sure that no trash gets left behind. We don't have bins at centre camp. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You're just hanging out at the space. And the shifts are 4 hours in duration. The first one starts at 10 a.m. And the last one will finish at midnight, so it's not like it goes all night. So they're 4-hour shifts. You're doing it with a buddy. I try to roster people on with somebody else. I'm always floating around. I'm never too far if you need me. Yeah, it's pretty chill. It's good for people who want to meet other people. It does help if you're reasonably sober. You don't have to be completely sober like for some of the other teams, but certainly for being helpful.
Yeah, and no driving of the vehicles required for this one.
No, not at all. It's fine if you're a little bit dusty or whatever. And yeah, as I said, it's a nice way to meet people and contribute. 4 hours is pretty easy. Basically, you could sit on your ass the whole time if you wanted to.
This is almost this is a role that someone could, if someone hasn't even been to one of these events before, this is a role a first timer could do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and awesome. you will get to know a few people as a result, and you might even learn a thing or two. The crew, the volunteers can participate in the workshops if they want. Yep. We also have an opportunity for folks to get involved as setup crew. So you'd come to the site a day before gates and help lay out the carpets and the cushions and, a little bit of basic decor, maybe helping out, putting up some lights and maybe a little bit with the audio, but nothing technical. It's pretty easy. We just need people to help move stuff from A to B, and it's pretty light. And if anything is heavy, then we'll grab someone's ute to help us with that. But that's the day before, so you get early access. And then we need a small team to help us with pack down, which happens the day gates close. So at the last day of the event, we need people to help out putting things back into the storage container, rolling up the carpets. It's pretty basic stuff, but it means that you don't have to leave when everybody else leaves. You can stay an extra day, which is nice for folks who might want to take their time coming back to Earth and aren't in a massive rush to get back to Melbourne. And there's a nice chill vibe on site when everybody starts to leave. That's an opportunity for folks as well. Yeah, it's like doing this little bit of volunteer work pre and post event is a good way of kind of. I think it almost works well if you're a person who's a little bit anxious as well, because sometimes rocking up to an event where everything's kind of underway and things are happening, and you're like, oh wow, gotta set up my tent and work out where to camp and who are my neighbors and all the rest of this stuff. That can be a little bit daunting in a way. So if you can kind of get there early and it's quiet and you're like, okay, where am I going to put myself? Where are things laid out? How can I help a bit? Can I get to know a few people? That can be like a nice way of kind of easing into the event before things really, kick off and gate opens and everything. So it might be good for someone who wants to, ease into it, ease out of it kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. If people are interested in signing up to be part of the Centre Camp crew, there will be a link on the Underland website. You just fill it in and then the crew wrangler sends you off to the various teams that you might be interested in. You can volunteer for more than one crew at Underland. You don't have to be, on only one. You can do more than one role if you want. So that's, and volunteer applications will be opening from the 1st of July, which is when tickets go on sale as well. So, that's coming up soon. I guess by the time this podcast goes to air, it will have already opened.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Tickets should be live now on underland.au. Okay. Just trying to think of anything we haven't covered. Any other requirements for workshops? I know you said they're not really, you shouldn't really be bringing a DJ set. It's not really the right place for it, but live music, jam sessions, workshops. We don't have enough live music at events, I feel. So a bit more live music would be nice. Yeah,
look, stand-up comedy, if you want to do spoken word, anything weird and wonderful. It doesn't have to be perfect either. Sometimes you could, sometimes the best things are the half-baked options.
Doesn't need to be too polished.
Not at all. It could be a chance to try something that you've never done before, either as a leader or as a participant. So, it's the stakes is low. So don't stress about, getting it perfect. It's not necessary.
Is that what you like? Is that what you like about doing the role? Is it just seeing the random stuff that happens, the unexpected things? Is that what you get out of leading the centre camp and seeing what happens?
Yeah, I do enjoy watching the magic unfold and seeing people step out of their comfort zone. I like seeing people feeling like they're part of something. It brings out something within them to be contributing to something greater than themselves or trying something new. I get a big kick out of that. And seeing people forge connections and go from being shy and anxious to, having a bit of a strut in their step, a little bit more confidence, and, and then over time that develops into something really beautiful, and you get to see their true selves in that really supportive space. So I get a big kick out of that. And I'll be doing a couple of workshops myself this year, one of which will be a Burgeon workshop. So that's for folks who've never been to a burn before or have never been to Underland before. So it'll just be an opportunity to ask questions, meet, other burners, make connections, and, maybe learn a little bit more about burner culture, because it can be a little bit intimidating if you don't really know why do you do that or what happens when that happens. And it's just an opportunity to learn. And I'm fascinated by culture, and those sorts of interactions are really interesting. And I wish I had a burner workshop, a Burgeon workshop to go to when I was starting out. But I think this is a nice way of helping people get on the same page, because it can be weird. Particularly if you're used to going to festivals and you're waiting for something to happen, and you're kicking back at camp going, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know what to do. There is no main stage. I don't know what's happening. It can be a bit strange. So
sounds like a really good idea. I think I am trying and failing to describe how the event works to a lot of people at the moment. So this kind of thing is very much needed. I'm trying to explain to a friend, we're going to do a coffee thing, and he's saying, there's going to be a coffee thing? They have coffee there? I'm like, well, there will be if we do it. So I'm failing quite badly. So thank you for putting on an event like this. I think it's really needed.
Yeah, look, I might pull a couple of other rabbits out of the hat as well. I've got some ideas percolating, something a bit surprising.
Percolating. Nice.
Exactly. Yeah. So, had some chilled vibes, and again, nice way to meet people in a low stakes kind of way.
Low stakes, very chilled.
Yeah. Acknowledging that not everybody's a massive extrovert. So it's nice to have quiet, more quality interactions with people.
I think when introverts find a space like that, they really value it, and they're kind of, oh, thank God I found this. This is really my vibe, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's also, a spot for extroverts to come and play too. But I think you'll find it at many Burn events. It seems to be a lot of extroverts. And it's like, where do I fit in if I'm a little bit quieter? And yeah, as you say, it's a valuable space, and I'm really proud to be part of it. I look forward to meeting all the new volleys and all the new workshop hosts. And yeah, this year's going to be great. We've got a few surprises up our sleeves. So,
ooh, okay, all right. Well, I guess if you volunteer at Centre Camp, you'll get to be a part of those surprises. So it's underland.au is the new website now. So that's the best way to sign up for Centre Camp, you think?
Yeah, look, the email address is centrecamp@commonarts.org.au if you want to get in touch with me directly. Otherwise, you just go through the online form, which will be up shortly, if not already by the time listeners hear this. And yes, if you are interested in running a workshop, there's a form there too. And if you've got questions, ask. And if I have questions based on your application, I'll get in touch with you and we'll make something. We'll figure it out. Most of the time, it's pretty easy.
Have you ever had to reject a workshop? Has it ever been too crazy or not appropriate?
Oh no, it's mainly, it's not so much the crazy. The crazy's fine. It's the commercial, boring corporate workshops that people want to run, like a marketing thing. It's like, hang on a second, this is not the right space for you. It's probably not the right event for you. Underland is, being decommodified and all that. Yeah, so they're the types of events that I've had to say, look, I'm really sorry, but it doesn't really fit.
No, Marketing 101, not really the right place for it. Yeah.
No, and a couple of other ones similar to that. It's just like, this is not a corporate conference.
Maybe it's just someone's got a bot going around, and anything where they can get a speaking gig, it just fills out the form for them, and you're getting, people applying like that. Maybe it's something like that.
I doubt it. This seems like somebody wanting to push their product. That's what it seemed like to me. Yeah.
Maybe not the right space. Maybe not the right space.
Yeah, no.
But otherwise, the crazy is welcome.
Bring it on. And there's always space in the schedule if you decide on the day, oh my God, I'm going to do this thing.
Yes.
We could probably slot you in. So
yes, you go on the chalkboard and off you go. Yeah.
And sometimes not even. It doesn't even have to go on the chalkboard. It could just happen. Ideally you put on the chalkboard, but it's okay if it doesn't go on the chalkboard. Radical immediacy and all that. You want to do the thing and you want to do it now? Do it at Centre Camp. We'd love to have you.
That's a really good idea, actually. I've seen stuff like that happen before. And it's been like, oh, we need a little bit more space for this, and this could be the way to do it.
Yeah, spontaneity for the win. We got you covered. Thanks, PY. It's been great chatting it through with you.
Thanks, Beck. Thanks for coming on the podcast. I hope you get a lot of people volunteering for Centre Camp and having a good time.
Me too. Have a good one.
Coming up next is the Effigy Build Crew. Dylan, welcome to the podcast. How are you this morning?
I'm good. It's getting a little wintry, which is reassuring to some degree, given that we're in the middle of June. And finally, it's starting to get cold, but every day above the ground's a good one. So I'm well.
Yeah, it feels like winter is properly here now, and we're all shivering away. But let's warm ourselves up by talking about an interesting topic. Can you start by introducing yourself to the audience and telling them what you do at Underland?
Yeah, sure. So I'm an architect. I run my own, kind of little practice, and I've got, a pretty deep interest and long-term kind of engagement across art projects, art facades. Some of our architecture is extremely sculptural, so I'm very interested in design and sculpture, architecture, purpose, and the kind of the slightly less prosaic aspects of building and design. I have never been to a burn festival, but I have been to a number of festivals, and only recently met a lot of the community there, and I've been really thrilled at the kind of the. It's not just non-judgment, but it's generosity of the community. I'm really, really interested in that. Been aware of Burning Man for many years, and always kind of looked at it with a kind of awe, really, I guess, an admiration at this mad party and this wild creativity that goes on, that sort of speaks to some of those aspects that I like to try and kindle in my architecture. This fire metaphor is going to keep going, isn't it?
Started already.
Yeah, exactly. So look, I was made aware of Underland through people I've met in, you know, the dance and music community as a Victorian kind of outpost, if you will, of the values of Burning Man. And when I saw that there was a call out for, you know, designs and interest in what might be the effigy in the temple, I reached out. Didn't want to overreach, so I put a little idea in for the effigy, and thought this would be a pretty cool vision as part of what I understood around that kind of ceremonial and I think deeply spiritual kind of connection to this idea. So I thought, I'm an architect. I know makers and designers and installers, and I'm really used to kind of like drawing and creating and building sculptural kind of art projects for people. Never perhaps quite as hands-on as this particular project sort of demands of me. I can't just do a set of drawings and issue them out to a bunch of people and they all make it, and then I turn up and go, not good enough. There's no defects inspection, if you will. It's not good enough. And so that's been a real eye-opener for me, this kind of the personal link and the connection to a project that we're designing not to be perfect, because there's always going to be, you know, you need a really resilient design that ends up being able to deal with the machinations of the world and the intricacies of the time and the, you know, the kind of the communal build that ends up occurring. You've got to make it so that people can do what's being asked of them and feel proud of the work, and not like, oh, I didn't quite make that perfect. So we've got lots of rough edges in the bits to help people, you know, kind of do a great job without necessarily being craftspeople and, you know, kind of the really technically detailed manufacturers that we're normally used to working with. So it's been really interesting. It's been great to talk to, you know, the guys from Common Arts Victoria who have done this before and perhaps not necessarily with architects. So I'm sort of going, oh, I don't know if I've quite got this right there yet. And they're like, well, no, this is great. You're doing, you know, you're already doing like 12 times better than the best one we've ever had. So they're kind of relaxed about it, whilst I'm really nervous about it because I've never really done what they're doing, and they've never had somebody like me doing the design for them. So it's been a really great process, really great project. Understanding some of the, you know, skill sets inside Common Arts and the burner community around safe burns and you know, how to manage conflagration and how do you need accelerants and when do they apply and how do you design the choreography of the fire, which is something that I instantly sort of thought of when I put this idea in, because I have been growing up in, you know, rural scenarios. I spent a little bit of time in England. I've been to Guy Fawkes bonfires, and I've done, you know, quite a number of sort of midwinter, semi-pagan kind of, you know, kind of celebrations with mulled wine and burning things. So I understand the power of it, and I'm really, really excited about participating.
This is really interesting because you're sort of coming at this from kind of a parallel world and a parallel kind of day-to-day practice of architecture. And now you're sort of, you know, have hit the divert on the railway track, and you're sort of very much zooming over to the burner track, immersed by all the experienced people. And so if I understand this correctly, this is actually going to be your first time at you've been to many festival events, but this is going to be your first time at a burn event as well.
Yeah. So look, I've been to one festival. I went to Interstellar last year, which was eye-opening and mind-blowing and wonderful. So yes, it's my first burn. It'll be an effigy burn. It'll also be my birthday. So
it's crazy. This is so many.
I know. This is a Venn diagram that no longer can work with only circles. We need triangles to make this Venn diagram work. Now it's been really interesting. I've done through the architectural career quite a lot of work advocating for timber and timber to be used in buildings, and I've been doing that for. God, I don't even want to, it's going to be 20 years I've been trying to advocate for people to sort of build timber into the construction methodology. And the wild thing about that is no matter how many conferences you go to and you're timber engineering and you're looking at mass timber, there's an overarching kind of positioning that says we're telling people about how timber doesn't burn. So we're doing fire tests and char layers and showing resilience and building, kind of fit for purpose kind of structures after fire and all that sort of stuff. And everything we do is about stopping it from burning. And this time I'm making a thing that I'm actually designing to burn and to burn beautifully, to consider light, thin timbers and how they curl and go first, as opposed to framing timbers that take longer and remain. And what's the timeline of the burn, and how do we make it not just a thing that burnt, but actually a thing that burnt in layers? So it's a bit like designing fireworks almost. Do you know what I mean? What comes first? How does that come second? When the thing's collapsed, how does it finally feel? What's the shape of the fire? What's the timeline of the fire? And if you could set it to music, when do you want this to happen? And when do you want that to happen? So that's been a really, really, I get really enthusiastic about that.
When it comes to those sort of decisions about how the thing is built in such a way that it's not only aesthetically pleasing, but it's going to burn and look a certain way, what's your feeling at the moment on looking ahead to the build? How many of those decisions can be made now ahead of time, and what's going to have to be made on site? What's going to have to be a flexible decision? What's going to have to be a consultative decision? I remember, last year, I was helping with an art project ahead of time, and it was, I was trying to do some work on the computer one night, and outside, I just couldn't concentrate because there was endless screams of delight where the team were calibrating their accelerants, working out and sort of coming down to the final days, working with, in this case, the temple lead to talk to her about, okay, this is the sort of effect if we put this type of accelerant, and they would demonstrate that to her, and there was like everyone going, "Ooh, that's a," and because she wasn't experienced in that area, and had the support of the team to help her with that.
Yeah.
Now I imagine you're, as you said, you're not usually making things in mind to go whoosh. So, some of those things you won't have seen before. So how are you feeling now about, how much you can do in your head and how much you're going to have to be, perhaps literally 3 days beforehand on site? Imagine maybe that's a level of uncertainty you don't usually have to deal with.
Well, it's pretty thrilling. I mean, look, as an architect, we know, less and less about more and more until we know nothing but about everything. And in all of the work I've done around stopping fire, if I turn all of that thinking around and play the movie backwards, I still understand. I understand the nature of accelerants and the density of timbers and the layering and I've got a good, kind of general feel for that. And where I'm excited is that when I put forward a little bit of an idea to the conflagration experts, they're able to respond to the desire or the vision that I've had and go, okay, if you want to get that kind of effect, this is the technical way that we could do that. This might be a paraffin, or this might be we might be able to use a petroleum here, or we might be able to soak that material in a thing that actually slows it down when it burns and gives you a kind of an effect here. So I put forward an idea, and the team very much kind of come back with their expertise and experience and sort of offer up some potential pathways, which then lets me go, that's great. I'll embed that thinking into this particular component. But it's really, I don't work in a way that says, I have a vision and it shall be this and anything else is wrong. It's very much like, whoa, what if it was kind of like this? And could we turn some things on? And W. Heath Robinson was a big part of my childhood, and I'm not sure if you know him, but he's an English kind of graphic artist who drew these kind of wildly complex machines made from bits of string and forks and kettles making steam paddles go around to do, absurd things. But being able to build into the effigy components that are actually designed upon burning to move or activate in a way is something that I'm completely fascinated. Well, I hope so. This is one of the potentially sheddable ideas when everything's coming to the wire, and at the end of the day, this vision, I'll be happy just to get something there that I can burn. That's one of the things that we do in the design process, is we're trying to consider every stage of its fabrication, its installation, its burn, its collection, its, where we get the materials from. We're trying to tap into all of the waste streams that we see in the industry that we're connected to, so that we can, really be true to those value propositions around the burner community. We're trying to put as much accuracy as we can into the fundamental components that then lets you have as resilient as possible a decision-making process that ends up getting it to be somewhere like what we imagine.
I am really curious to be on site and kind of vicariously watch you go through this build process and see you meeting all the different teams that you haven't interacted with before, as you get closer and closer to completing the build and then looking to the burn. I think it's going to be it's going to be interesting for you.
I have no doubt it's already interesting.
I kind of almost wanted to be on the build team for this one myself, just to kind of it'd be almost great if we had like a little doco team following you around.
Telling the story of how you build this would be a wonderful one. I've got an auntie, I'm yet to hit her up, but she's a documentary filmmaker, and I might say, hey, what do you reckon? Do you reckon you could, throw a bit of time at this? She's currently doing something on the people who save animals who've been reported as being found on the road, which would be a bloody hard job to make a video of. So this would be perhaps something a little lighter, a little bit more.
Would be a good cheer up project after
that one. Yeah, like a warm crackling fire through winter.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So maybe if something can sort of capture where you are now and then into the final weeks of the planning, that all the way through, I think that'd be a very that'd be a good one.
Obviously, there'd need to be some pretty serious permission forms or like controlled cameras if ever you were going to shoot the burn, because
there's a lot of issues about consent,
community, all of that sort of stuff.
How you're going to shoot it? Can you shoot it in such a way that people's faces can be obscured and depth of field, etc., etc.
Well, it's the double-edged sword of AI, right? We could equally make everybody look like one person, or we could identify them and their social media instantaneously. We could manipulate the thing. I know that there's going to be the potential for shooting it safely and, with consent that doesn't mean you I know that, photographers exist at these things, so it would be possible. I mean, I wanted, as a part of this, I guess the idea is we want to build a little bit of excitement and interest, and I've sought approval from the Underland board and all of that sort of stuff. Normally the effigy is a secret. It's really only revealed at the end of the sort of, when the element is, when the festival opens, really.
Yeah.
They've given me permission to talk it up a little bit, to describe
that's interesting.
what we're doing.
Okay, so spoiler warning for people who don't want to hear it,
stop listening now if you don't want to hear what this might be.
I'm on site early, but usually I stop myself from walking up there.
Well, look, let me tell you about the inspiration. Is a lot of our projects, a lot of our architecture, a lot of our buildings comes from nature. We're very interested in biological systems and networks and things. And for me, I got an instant picture when I started wondering what this effigy could be, to create a serpent. So it's a serpent that is, when you look into serpents, they are the global creature of dreams and mythology, from indigenous cultures, rainbow serpents, through to hundreds and hundreds of other cultures and religions, philosophies, guilds. The serpent's always in our mythological structure. This year is also the lunar year of the snake. And that is, as a symbol, it's a symbol of rebirth, of transformation, the shedding of the skin, the serpent's kind of ability to shed the old and become transformed. It's also a symbol of fear and uncertainty. And I think if you don't need to shove a thermometer very hard up the arse of the world right now to determine that there's a truckload of fear and uncertainty going on. It's about being aware. It's about being alert. The serpent's rattle is about looking with intent and understanding what's around you. And for me, this serpent is not any one particular one of those serpents. It is not a rainbow serpent. It is all serpents. It's the nature of that relationship between humanity and this creature that's written about into ancient times, to give us, I guess, a sense of this, connection to those things that are not purely social or written, but are deeply entwined into the kind of the our guts, if you will, as to how they are. So snakes are wild. They're born from eggs. They shed their skin. They kind of they're in Jungian philosophy, representing the other. Snakes are symbols of caution. Wait a minute, am I aware? Am I alert? Am I context? Am I treading in the right spot? They can represent this kind of encounter with the mythic and the alien, and yet they're entwined in the Asclepius rod, which has the two snakes intertwined as the symbol for medicine and health, and healing. There's a sense of eternity around them. The Ouroboros, which is the symbol of a snake biting its own tail, in that infinite kind of composure. And so, for me, there was just there was a natural kind of set of interesting psychological, mythological, biological, chronological, and sociological elements in this serpent that were really great. This thing is going to stand about 6 meters high, so it's coiled on the ground, and it stands with its head in the air, and it's clad in waste timbers of different multicolored species veneers, so we can actually build scales of color on the serpent's body. And I'm really excited about this idea of being able to kind of have all of these scales. They're really resilient. They're really forgiving to how they get laid on, so that the form of the snake tends to kind of normalize itself with the addition of these things. And hopefully through the festival, we're going to have some leftovers of these. People might want to write a little message, say bye-bye to someone they miss, or say bye-bye to someone that they wish they could miss, or whatever that might be. That they can fix those scales onto the serpent itself and let them go up, not taking the temple's role as that place for those deeply spiritual connections, but it's about building a little bit of a connection to what this element might be. So yeah, I'm pretty excited by it. Everybody we're showing it to is like, whoa, that's hoopy and crazy, because as architects we've got access to some really great tools to get algorithms building us kind of elements, so it's really fluid. It doesn't look like the old snake Rubik's cube, or the kind of Rubik's cube that
sort of very sort of low poly type of.
It's all crying. Yep. It's like an 8-bit snake. So this is an HD snake. It's fluid and it bulges and it's made from timber, but it's a fluid and formally kind of beautiful thing. So
I like that as sort of a continuity of the designs that we've had so far, because I think that's one thing that set the Underland effigies apart from others. They are very, very fluid and very natural, and kind of a lot of them textured, really beautifully textured. And I think your scales will be a sort of a continuation of that sort of textural theme. Very interested
in how that all comes together. It's been a unique process to design a building, a sculpture, an element, not to last. In fact, not just to be temporary and then pulled down, but to design something to be burnt. And so the choreography of that burn is something that we're really interested in, and is kind of informing the methodology of the build, and how do we fabricate, and where do we put fuel loads in, and how do we run lines through that help us actually kind of articulate and choreograph that kind of what essentially is going to be, I don't know how long it's going to take to ultimately burn. Maybe it's going to take 40 minutes or something, but maybe it's only going to take 15. This is where you've got to design you've got to design that fireworks show so that it has a beginning and a middle and an end, and it actually naturally closes, naturally goes through its process and brings you to the completion. Something I'm really, really interested in conducting.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got a very good picture of what the project is going to look like, and the ideas and the concepts behind it. For those who want to volunteer, maybe let's fill in some of the nuts and bolts. And I think I can help with some of these details here. Now, as far as time commitments go, the core event dates are the 25th to the 29th of September. But my understanding is that usually build team will be on site for at least a week ahead of time, is what I've seen in before. Is that kind of what you're expecting this time?
Yeah, look, I'm hoping I can really only be physically on site for sort of the 4 days prior. But we're also looking for a team to help us in the lead up to that on-site time. So not everybody needs to be, I'm not going to turn up and go, right, we've got nothing, and now I've got a bunch of stuff and we're going to build this goddamn snake. We're gonna be prefabricating some components that we're going to find a site for, to actually start, refitting some of the scales onto these kind of components that we're fabricating, so that the time on site is minimized really to some foundation work, some preparation, and then assembling components and kind of like, stitching them together, which is what I'm really, it's part of our architectural background anyways. Less time on site is more effective, because people don't need to drive 3 hours and come back, and you can do a lot of this in a controlled environment. And so we're looking for, and I think anyone who's interested, reach out to Common Arts Victoria, because they've got a really great distribution network of making sure people can, of aligning tasks with skills, so that people can still learn about things. And if you're interested, you don't need to be an expert at anything. You just need to have enthusiasm and competency ultimately to be able to contribute.
That's a really important point. I think we should pause on there, because it's easy to think, oh boy, I need to be from a trade background to be able to do this stuff. I really need to be a chippy to be able to. But this can be a good way for people who don't have that background to get in and get a few of those skills. So you can you don't necessarily need to be either from the trade background or from the arty or background or from the architectural
Yeah.
background. It's a chance to jump in and get involved.
You need to have an interest in making, and if you've done any craft or things like that, we're trying to make sure that we generate work streams that people can learn in, but can also do without technical skills. Some jobs are going to be set up absolutely for a tiered level of technical capacity, but we'll make sure that we fill in and that there's translational learning opportunities in some of those more technically driven spaces for people who are interested in participating. And then there's going to be some really simple skills like stitching and using a staple gun. Some of these are not highly skilled, but they're still really critical to the overall weaving together and delivery of the project. So we're up for everyone who's interested. What we're looking for is good people. We're going to have a no dickheads rule, and like if you're a dickhead, you can't help us because dickheads just make everybody get kind of completely distracted. So we're after enthusiasm and good energy.
Enthusiasm, energy, no drama llamas kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Curiosity, competency, courage. We want those things.
I think it's going to be a great for people to be able to get involved with this pre-build and see how a modular snake is made and then transported to site and then.
Just one way a modular snake can be made. There are probably a fortune.
A way, not
a way. That's right. That's right. There's more than one way to skin a snake. I mean, yeah.
That's it. I mean, by the time you're done with this, there's going to be so many snakes. There's going to be the snake pun book, dad.
Well, that a snake.
Jokes. Yeah,
that's a legless lizard. There's a legless lizard. Look, I'm very excited that the Underland team that we've shared it with so far are also pretty excited. So, I think that that gives me the requisite level of anxiety to make sure that I make it as good as I can.
Yeah, there's always that little bit of worry and pressure that's needed to bring a project to completion. I find that there's
it's not just a little bit. If I wasn't worried about it, I wouldn't care. Yeah. So I know that I care about it because I'm worried about it. So I want it to be good. Yeah, exactly. I've just got to let it not all consume me,
Okay.
Jonah in the belly of the snake.
Terrible. Yep. I'll point that one down, folks. All right.
Yeah. Let's finish. This is good. This is going to dad joke land really quickly.
For people who want to be involved with this team, what's the best way for them to get in contact? Should they just email the generic crew address at this stage?
Common Arts Victoria have said they've got a big lineup of messaging and things going out. They've got a website now for the Underland Festival. So if you are interested, go to the website. Obviously, Common Arts Victoria is a member-led and run organisation. If you want to contribute, you need to sign up. I think it's free to join, or it's a couple of bucks or whatever that is. But that then gives you access to the Slack channel, and you can start to actually communicate. And people are. It's a really flat hierarchy in there, but you very quickly find your way to the people who know how to help and how to guide you to the place where you can add value.
Okay, so we'll put that link in the show notes to the Common Arts website, and I can see on their notice board page, as well as information on how to become a CAV member, there's a generic crew email address which they can hit up, which is crew@commonarts.org.au to register your interest in volunteering for Underland 2025. This is all sounding pretty cool. I can't wait to get on site and see the snake beginning to rear itself in the distance. Any last messages to the community, Dylan, while you've got their ear?
Look, I'd just like to say I'm really looking forward to meeting all of you, more of you, and to participating. It's been a welcome. It's been a welcoming space, and I look forward to sharing that welcome with more and more people.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. Dylan, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
My pleasure.
Up next is the Temple Build team. Aaron, how's it going? Welcome to the Bonzaar podcast.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's going really well.
Aaron,
how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Gradually getting there with all these interviews. Stephen usually does all the talking on this podcast. I just do the engineering, and I'm beginning to appreciate just what a good job Stephen does, because he makes it look easy. And I am trailing in his wake, trying to do what I can on this episode.
I think it's going to be great.
Unfortunately, you've got me and not Stephen, so I apologize in advance for the you're not quite getting the Bonzaar Deluxe experience. You're more getting Bonzaar Light with me, so hope that's okay. Anyway, for our audience, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you're going to be doing at Underland this year?
Yeah, so my name's Aaron, and I am leading the temple build at Underland 2025.
Awesome. Okay, we'll get onto that in a sec. But look, one fun thing to do is always to ask people how they got involved. You know, because it's often people have a crazy story about, or not so crazy story about how they got involved with the scene. So can you take me back? How did you first get involved with this burning stuff? When was it? What was your first experience?
Sure. So I first was introduced to Burns and Burning Man by my partner in 2020. We were living in Sweden, and at the time I was doing a lot of reading about communities and different ways of living, and been kind of not identifying as an anarchist, but as some sort of an ideal. It was attractive to me, and once I was shown the principles of Burning Man, I kind of just realized that there was a lot of other people that thought a similar way to me, that these principles are a kind of standard way that I was practicing life, I guess. So I realized I had to find these people and start hanging out with them. So I started going. We went to a few burns, quite small, in Sweden. Made some friends, and they were starting a burn in Austria. So we helped organize a burn in Austria.
Cool.
And the first burn I went to, we were just met, kind of there to experience, but also we took quite a lot of things, like an experience for things to do, and my partner really emphasized the idea of gifting and like bringing something to the burn. And so the next time that I went, I decided to build a sculpture. Didn't really burn very well, but we burnt it eventually.
Okay, took a bit of encouragement.
A lot of encouragement.
Okay.
But that sculpture was the early prototype of the temple that's being built at Underland.
Oh, so this is actually a project that's kind of got a bit of history. It's been in your head for a while, like a few years now.
Yeah, so I've actually built this sculpture 3 times before.
Iterating.
Yeah, the 3 different sizes. This one's obviously the biggest. Yeah, and just to kind of round off that introduction story to Burns, we've recently moved to Melbourne, and this is where my partner used to live. She has a lot of friends here, and was part of the burning scene while she lived here. So as soon as we got here, a week later, we were at Underland 2024, and that was my introduction to Melbourners and Common Arts Victoria, and that's it. So I realized as soon as Underland finished, I need to apply for the temple grant.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
it sounds like you've really dove in head first. I feel sometimes, from what I've heard from previous temple builders, they've been a little bit hesitant to jump in. They've sort of felt, can I do this? Is it my time to do this? But maybe because you've had a bit of history with your project already, you've kind of been able to really jump on this quickly.
Yeah, I think the design stays the same. It's just a case of scaling it to the size it's going to be at Underland. I've been through the process of burning it, been through the process of, buying the timber. Actually, in Austria, it was quite difficult to kind of organize buying timber in a different country, making sure that it arrives at the right place at the right time when I'm there, kind of cooperating with people in different countries to take those orders and help. So, yeah.
Wow. So this is, I guess, in some respects, easier. You're not having to cross country lines. You're not having to deal with international deliveries of things, and yourself moving over a border to build. This must be I wouldn't say a walk in the park, but it's different, at least, to your previous experiences.
Yeah, I guess some of the main differences. So I've only been in Melbourne since September. So some of the differences would be, the scale of it is so much bigger. So I have to have more help. So the previous ones I did either by myself or with my partner. And this one requires more of a team. We need a big place to build it. There's more logistics involved because it's bigger. So there are other challenges absent crossing country borders and flying to places.
What's that process been like so far, engaging with the community to bring on more help?
So far, taking on help has been fairly easy. Just in terms of my immediate friends, they've been very keen to be involved. I've been reaching out to some other people who are new to the space and trying to introduce them and show them what I'm doing. And everyone's usually quite interested when I say I'm building a sculpture. So that's been fun. But I think, there will be a time, I think, where I'll have to reach out and ask for some extra hands, probably for the actual build on site.
That's right, because it sounds like you're doing a good amount of pre-build, but there's also what happens on site, and inevitably there's challenges. People get sick. You can get the old corona curveball thrown at you. So yeah, there can always be a bit of extra help. Is always nice to have. I think. Okay, to get people kind of enthused about things in that respect, can you share a bit about the temple? I'm really intrigued with this idea that you've iterated on it, and so it's getting bigger and better, and you've seen some of the challenges, like trying to get it to burn properly. So iteration is so important for in design and art and anything we want to achieve. Yeah, can you share a bit more about the temple?
Yeah, how best to describe the temple? Well, I guess I can start by just describing the shape, I suppose. It's a square. It's built by constructing squares that get smaller and smaller and smaller on top of each other, as if it's a sort of pyramid, and they each spin a certain amount of degrees each square. So you end up with this kind of twisting square pyramid type of shape. Some of the inspiration, I think, when I first decided that I wanted to build it, some of the ideas that I had were trying to spin fire without, the dragon staff or poi. I was trying to think about how to spin fire, whether it was possible to control a fire in that regard. So that was one of the inspirational thoughts. And the first time that I built it in the way that I envisioned it, it was 2 meters tall. And I kind of looked inside and saw the patterns that the wood created, and also the light shining through the gaps in between the wood as the sculpture twists. And my first thought was that it needed to be big enough so that I could be inside it, basically. And this one will be. So we'll be able to hang out inside the temple and hopefully relax, meditate, and process and write messages, all the things the temple was supposed to be for, as well as being a bit of an art piece as well.
Sounds very geometric, very mathematical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say so. There's been some maths, some trial and error.
Yeah.
I think the first trial and error was when I had all of these squares separate. There was a lot of trial and error trying to figure out exactly how to twist them and how much to twist them. You know, if they don't twist so much, it kind of just has this flat surface that twists. You twist it a little bit too much and it doesn't stand up on its own, and the center of gravity moves over and it just tips.
All right.
So I had to do that a few times to find a spot where it could twist enough and stand up on its own.
Right. Interesting. Would you say in general your design approach is more on that kind of engineering and math side? Yeah, I'm just thinking because I'm sort of working with friends of mine at the moment, and you know I tend to be a bit more on the nerdy side, and they're very organic and hands-on, and it's just such a different, completely different mindsets. It sounds very geometric, but is that where your mind comes from as well, or that's just what the project is asking of you?
I think the project asked that of me. I think I had an idea in my head that I wanted to create. So then I just started, and after that, then you start to realize, okay, I need to figure out how big and how small the squares need to be, how tall it's going to be. One thing that we tried to do in this last one, we realized that one of the older ones almost does an exact 360 from like an exact 360 spin. So we tried to get that worked into this other one, but it's not quite there.
I guess you're constrained by the height as well, because there's only so high you can go, I believe. So
yeah. So it's kind of, if we could go a little bit higher, we would have been able to get 360, and but I still think it's going to look great.
Oh, I'm sure it will. And I can tell you from personal experience, the height that we had last year, I don't know if that went to maximum or not. When you're standing very close to it, that feels plenty high enough. Like the sound is above your head, and it's a bit daunting. So, I think it'll be impressive.
Yeah, I hope so.
And it sounds like the twist that will influence the way it burns, obviously, so we can expect to have, like you were saying, spinning without physically, kinetically spinning. We should see sort of a spire, a rotating spire going up when it burns. Is that the idea?
That's the idea. So we can that's the plan, and hopefully that's how it burns. Yeah.
Sounds really cool. I'm excited to see it for sure.
Yeah, it's something that I've been very excited about for a long time, and every time I look at it and see it being kind of built as we're building it now, each time I see it, it's very exciting. It's just can't wait to see it in the paddock.
Sounds like even now the process and the pre-build is, of immense value to you. It's not like you'll get to the end and you go, oh, it's finally done. I feel great now. It sounds like that it's already happening in your mind. It's already hitting that kind of artistic satisfaction.
Yeah. I mean, some of the things that I enjoy the most about this, especially this bigger version, working with friends and more people, is that, well, gifting is one of the principles of Burning Man, and it's very easy to read that and think, oh yeah, you give gifts and you don't expect anything back, etc. But as I built this sculpture before at a previous burn, and there was a different kind of feeling or just immense gratefulness when you see what your gift or contribution can provide people. That your gift is either received well or enjoyed, and to see people learn how to build, practice how to build, just spend time in developing relationships. And then, I think it's just the idea of giving and sharing and kind of trying to show other people how to share.
That's a really cool way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The gift is not even it's not solely the finished work on the paddock. It's the gift that you give to the people who in turn are gifting their time. Yeah, it's sort of this virtuous kind of circle of gifting, that the act of producing itself is a gift unto those who are producing it. Yeah, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the experience, getting to have the experience. Yeah, I'm just very grateful that I got the opportunity to build this crazy idea that I had a few years ago. Obviously, there's some nerves and there's some apprehension about how big it is, whether it works the way I want it to work, and yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some of the nuts and bolts of your logistics, if you like, particularly in regards to crew. It sounds like you've got a very good handle on crew anyway, but I think it's useful to talk about this for people who might want to join on, perhaps a bit more on site, and also just to give people a bit of a flavour of what it's like to be on a build crew. Because usually, for people who will turn up, just before the weekend, this will already be there. It'll just be magic to them, but they won't have seen, well, fingers crossed, they'll rock up and they'll be like, wow, how did this get here? But of course, there's so much behind the scenes. So it sounds like you're doing pre-build, that's right, to prefabricate some sections.
Yeah, so we've, luckily with the sculpture, it's all quite uniform. Everything's slightly different size, but it's all the same in essence. So we're able to cut, pre-drill, dummy build, and then dismantle and stack all of the squares. Then it's a case of loading a truck with all of the timber, all of the lights that are being handmade, all of the kind of interior seating, cushions, the kind of the interior decoration. There's other things to think about, like how to keep it attached to the ground, because it was very windy on the paddock last year. And then once on site, it's just a matter of rebuilding it, and hopefully we have the right lifting equipment to put it together.
You mentioned the lighting and the fact that they were going to be handmade. Can you tell us a bit more about the lighting and what it's going to look like?
Yeah. So the idea for the lights in this temple are quite big, meter-long raindrop shaped lights.
Oh, cool.
So we're trying our best to kind of form these in a workshop, with fiberglass, and kind of trying to mold fiberglass around this. What's the word? A mold.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, using a form and trying to set this fiberglass into teardrop shapes, and then they will be kind of generating all the light, and those teardrops or raindrops be kind of coming down with the spiral of the sculpture, and at the bottom of the temple there will be a kind of sculpture of a seedling.
Oh, I've got it. Right.
So there's kind of this story of the kind of rain coming down onto a seedling, kind of bringing life, and then when the sculpture burns, there's this very intense kind of cathartic scream. So there's a duality between this kind of almost violent expression of fire, and then this kind of rebirth of life in the middle of it.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool because in Australia, some of the native plants, they need fire to regenerate. So you've got the elements there that are required for life. You've got the water and the fire to kick the process off. Wow, really cool.
Yeah.
And so I guess they'll be there during the week, and then because they're fiberglass, they'll be removed just prior to the burn. Is that right?
Yeah. So we'll be it'll be lighting lighting the inside, and it also creates this kind of glowing effect when you view the sculpture from the outside. And just before we burn it on the Sunday, we'll remove all of the kind of cushions and blankets, the small sculpture in the middle, all of the lighting, and then the door that we've made, or the opening that we've made, will then be closed, and so no one can get back in. And that's when we'll set it alight.
Sounds like it's going to be beautiful. Just like at nighttime, it's going to be fantastic with that glowing kind of pattern to it. Yeah,
it's one of my favorite things.
Absolutely, cannot wait to see that. Thank you for giving us that description.
Welcome.
So, as far as your on-site crew goes, any special skills required? I'm assuming you need to be somewhat able-bodied, because there'll be a physical labor component to this. There'll be lifting and moving and trucks and ground anchors and that sort of thing. But aside from that, is there any particular skills you need from your build crew on site?
I'm not sure of particular skills. I think if you have experience using a drill or a screwdriver or just regular kind of tools, I think that's more than enough. But they're also not so difficult that we can't show you how to use them. So other than that, just a positive attitude, and I don't think there are any special skills anybody needs for this.
And what about time commitment? How many days on site are you anticipating to get it built?
So we're planning to be there on the Saturday before. So we're hopefully going to build Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it'll be 5 days before Underland begins.
You know, for me, that quiet time where the event is getting set up and you can literally see the temple and the effigy getting put together piece by piece, and it kind of grows magically before you. That's a wonderful time to be on site and part of the event. And I think that's one of the real selling points for people who come during that build week, to be able to see a literal mini city spring up around you. Yeah, it's a great thing.
One of the ways that I've described burns to friends is that nothing happens unless you do something, because nothing would be there unless people didn't show up and decide that they wanted to contribute, whether it's in the organization of the toilets, the fire brigade, the kind of medical, or all the permits. That's all done by someone that just wants to do these things. And then you get into the temple building, the effigy building, people playing music, people making art. Nothing would be there unless people get involved and do stuff. And it's when you look around when you're there, and you can say to yourself or say to your friends, we did this. It's quite a special thing to be a part of.
This is great. You've mentioned so many things already about why people should be infused and feel, I guess, almost privileged to be part of this gift and part of the build and part of the event. I don't feel I need to ask you any more questions. You've had a beautiful way of putting things, and I feel like I need to steal some of those sentences myself, because
you're very welcome.
I'm struggling to get my friends enthused, and I think the way you've put things has really the nail on the head. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I'd just like to say just a big thanks to my partner for introducing me, and for all her help on the builds and also this build, and all of the people that have helped so far. it's really been a lot of fun, and it's really very early on, so it's been great. And if anybody does want to help, they should reach out, and if there's an opportunity, we can try and make that happen.
That's right. I think we should mention that. So the best way to reach out, I believe, in your case, is just to head to the Common Arts website, and I believe the email address you'll find on there is crew@commonarts.org.au. I think that's the best way to reach you. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Aaron, that's got me really excited to see your project and to see it constructed, and to see how your crew engages with the process. Now that you've given me that little bit of extra insight about gifting, thank you for that.
Great. Well, I'm excited for you all to see it. So, yeah,
excellent.
I'm glad to hear.
Excellent. Okay, look forward to seeing you on the paddock.
You too. Thanks a lot.
This concludes part 3 of the Underland Volunteers call-out episode of the Bonzaar podcast. My thanks to my fellow podcast collaborators, Stephen Danae, the driving force behind the podcast, and Space Cake, our fellow host. For those who listened to all 3 parts of this episode, thank you. It means a lot to me. Can you believe it's 6 hours of content about volunteering at one small event? Pretty crazy, huh? Well, I look forward to seeing you at Underland 2025. Please come up and say hi. I'm PY.